There isn't one single key to a happy life. Our happiness comes from many things, like connecting with others, how we treat ourselves, and how we relate to the natural world around us. And there are practices that have been shown in the lab to help us get better at these things. I'm Dacher Keltner, psychologist at UC Berkeley. Join me on the Science of Happiness podcast as we explore these practices. In each episode, guests from all walks of life give a practice a try. And then we hear from experts about why they work. Find the Science of Happiness wherever you get your podcasts.
Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, trees and multiforms. You might be saying, what in the name of the face of Bo? No, because it's not the face of Bo, isn't it? Or it's the face of Bo. What in the name of the face of Bo? Because you say, well, wait a second, is the name the face of Bo? Or is the name Bo, and the face is of Bo? If you're confused, you're probably in the right place. Even though I already may know the answer or be able to speculate on the answer to whom is Bo, I couldn't answer it on the say. If this was, you say, is this? I don't know. I don't even know what I'm trying to explain. And that means you're in the right place because it's time for Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. And thanks to these sponsors is how we're able to be here for you for free twice a week. Hey, everybody, I want to let you know about a podcast I love and a podcaster I love. If you want to learn about fascinating moments in history in the most relaxing way possible, then you got to check out Calm History. Each episode is narrated in a calm voice to help you relax or fall asleep. You'll learn about famous explorers, leaders, inventions, civilizations, and ancient wonders. And there's even a 6-part series about the Titanic. So just check your podcast player for Calm History, C-A-L-M History, or use the link in our show notes and check it out. Thanks, everybody. Everybody, this is Scoots here, and I don't know what past Scoots, like I know past Scoots was talking about Angela Lansbury, but sometimes he doesn't write everything down, and I know he was talking to like Angela Lansbury's famous roles, and I was like, okay, well, like my knowledge of Angela Lansbury's pretty limited, Scooter. I don't know if you know that, but when you decided to make an entire, but here's the thing I know. Angela Lansbury is pretty wonderful. So I said, let's learn more and let's just be open-minded and see where it goes from there. So I looked up on Wikipedia, of course, where you say, Scoots, where do you learn more? What's the definitive reference on Angela Lansbury? And I say, the definitive one? I don't know. I'll probably hear about it when this episode comes out. But the reference I have easy access to get a basic overview, thank you, is Angela's Wikipedia. And here's the first thing. This is how not like clear I was. Angela Lansbury is an Irish-British actress who's played, I knew she was in film, theater, musicals too, television roles. She is a DBE, so she's royalty at this point. That made me think of the Marple character, Ms. Marple or whatever. But then I said, I think we are to push our luck with that one because I don't even remember how I was trying to skirt around it. Oh, was it Miss Marble? I don't know. But so 80 years of career at this point. She's an Academy Award nominee. She's was a star in the golden age of Hollywood, according to Wikipedia. Grew up in London. Moved to the United States in 1940. Started studying acting. Then moved to Hollywood in 1942. She signed to MGM and. She was in the picture Dorian Gray in a movie called Gaslight. In Picture Dorian Gray, she got 2 Oscar nominations and a Golden Globe. She was in 11 more MGM films, And then her contract ended in 1952. She did supplemental work with theatrical appearances. I don't know what that means. But she then appeared in 1962 in The Manchurian Candidate, which was met with widespread acclaim and is considered one of her finer performances. That doesn't have a citation, though, but I'm assuming it is, though. Then moved into musical theater on Broadway. She was in Mame. Holy cow. Okay, so that's where we can go next. This could be all facts about Angela Lansbury and where it leads. And she got a Tony Award. Then she moved from California to County Cork in Ireland in 1970, but still continued with theatrical and cinematic performances. She was in leading roles in the musicals Gypsy, Sweeney Todd, The King and I, then Bedknobs and Broomsticks. And we'll cover that one. I thought I was going to rewatch that, but I don't remember. I think we started it. Or maybe it was Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I don't know if that's a good question. I don't know if she was in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. I don't see it listed here yet. Moving into television in 1984, this was 1984 when she was on the show Mystery Writer of Mysteries. And that ran for 12 seasons and one of the longest running and most popular detective drama series in TV history. Lansbury actually assumed ownership of the series and was its executive producer for the final 4 seasons. Then she moved into voice work. That probably came up that's maybe where it came from, is Beauty and the Beast, and also in Don Bluth's Anastasia. And she toured in a variety of international productions and continued to make film appearances. Nancy McPhee, Mary Poppins Returns, has received an Academy Award, BAFTA, Tony Awards, Golden Globes, Olivier Award, and then nominated for other things. Best Supporting Actress on 3 occasions, Primetime Emmy Awards on 18 occasions, and a Grammy Award. And, in 2014, she was made Dame Commander of the Order of the British Empire by Queen Elizabeth II. She's also had 3 biographies written about her. So let's go to a little bit deeper into her career. Tonight at 8:30, and then was joined, let's see. I don't know. I don't understand this because I don't have the context. So I'm trying to think. Having gained the job by claiming to be 19 when she was 16, she was working at a nightclub in Montreal, earning $60 a week, then returned to New York City in 1942. Then Hollywood. She was following her mother, who was trying to resurrect her cinematic career. Lived in a bungalow in Laurel Canyon. That sounds nice. Lansbury and her mother obtained jobs. They worked at Bullock's Wilshire department store. And she was actually, Lansbury maintained her job, $28 a week, supported the rest of her family. Then was in Gaslight, which was a mystery thriller set in London. Starred Ingrid Bergman as the star, lead role of Paula Alquist. Angela Lansbury played the role of Nancy Oliver or Olivier. And then got an agent, then signed a 7-year contract with Metro Goldwyn Mayer. That's $500 a week, using her real name as her professional name. Got casting attention in Variety magazine. And then Gaslight, although Lansbury's role was widely praised, that was the one she got Best Supporting Actress for. Then National Velvet as the older sister of Velvet Brown. and maintained a lifelong friendship with Elizabeth Taylor. No, let's open that one just in case. Then was in The Picture of Dorian Gray, a cinematic adaptation of Oscar Wilde's novel. Set again in Victorian London. She played Sybil Vane, a working-class music hall singer who falls in love with Dorian Gray. I have not read that novel. I'm reading something now, but that might go on my list. The film was not a financial success, but Lansbury's performance once more drew praise, got a Golden Globe Award for Best Supporting Actress in a Motion Picture. And that was a nomination, but lost to Anne Revere, her co-star in National Velvet. Let's see. Then, let's see what else we got here. Established career 1950 to 1960. 11 further films till the contract ended, as we talked about. Keeping up with B-list stars, MGM used her less than the similar-aged actresses. Biographers, these were mediocre films anyway. Some people claim she was miscast repeatedly by MGM, not, playing different roles. And the company then had a slump. In 1948, started cutting their budgets. Lansbury played her first American character as E.M., a honky-tonk saloon singer with Judy Garland in the Wild West musical, The Harvey Girls. Then she was in The Hoodlum Saint, Till the Clouds Roll By, If Winter Comes, 10th Avenue Angel, The Three Musketeers, State of the Union, Red Danube. Then was in a UA film, The Private Affairs of Bellamy, Paramount on Samson and Delilah. Then in Kind Lady in 1951 and Mutiny in 1952. Then was in a few different radio plays, including Pride and Prejudice, and then started on television. Robert Montgomery Presents The Citadel. That was an episode of that. But not happy with those roles, did not instructed her manager not to terminate her contract, and then joined East Coast Touring Productions. This is so cool because this is like someone taking charge of instead of just, I don't know, this is like changing it up and staying a professional performer. But yeah, it was in Remains to be Seen in Affairs of the State. Those are two former Broadway plays. But not happy at this time either. So again, I'm projecting, of course, then, let's see. They mix a lot of personal stuff in here, even though it's supposed to be about career. Returned to cinema as a freelance actress, and still did not enjoy, was being miscast. And she had some roles on different films. Are these films or, it says Hollywood. She played Princess Gwendolyn in the comedy film The Court Jester, Steak, Street, Purple were three other movies. And then another movie, Long Summer, Reluctant Debutante. And then those last few movies, the summer movie and the debutante movie, really boosted her career again. Throughout this period, she kept going on television in recurring roles or recurring appearances on Revlon Mirror Theater, Ford Theater, the George Gobel Show, and a regular on the game show Pantomime Quiz. Then finally got a sympathetic role in the Dark at the Top of the Stairs, which was critically acclaimed. But then, of course, it had the other side in All Fall Down, and then The Manchurian Candidate, which she was cast in after Frankenheimer saw a performance in All Fall Down. And let's see what else. She'd agreed to appear in the film after reading the novel, one of the most exciting books I ever read. She got her third Best Supporting Actress Academy Award nomination for the film, but she lost to Patty Duke for The Miracle Worker in 1962. Then was in the Cool of the Day, World of Henry, Dear Heart. A lot of her titles are not. She turned down some roles, including Nurse Ratched in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. She was in Something for Everyone in 1970. And that same year, she was in Bedknobs and Broomsticks in 1971. That was her first lead in a screen musical. And she did a lot of publicizing of it, including on the David Frost Show. And that secured an enormous audience for me. So then she spent most of the 1970s on stage rather than screen. Big Farm on the Nile. The Vanishing Something, based on that was a remake. I don't know if this is a film. A Mirror One, based on Agatha Christie novel. This time is Holy Small World as Miss Marple. So we can't say Miss Marple's an Agatha Christie thing. Lady Marple, that's who I was thinking of. Not Miss Marple. That was a character I was wondering about. So then A Sleuth in 1950s Kent. She hoped to get away from the depiction of the role. Instead returning to Christie. Oh, that someone else had played. She kind of based on Agatha Christie's description of the character, which kind of was a precursor to Jessica Fletcher on Mystery I Wrote. She was signed on to appear in 2 sequels as Miss Marple that were never made, and then was in the animated film The Last Unicorn. Let's see. Okay, so then 1990 to 2000, doesn't say any, but this is when Mystery She Wrote is running. I think did this come up because of the, if you live in L.A. or you visit L.A. and you go on Universal tour, you get to see part of Cabot Cove, or once what was, it's considered Amity and Cabot Cove, I think, or is my memory serving me. But Landsbury continued on television, miniseries, and cinema. Did the New York Philharmonic's tribute to the centenary of Statue of Liberty with Kirk Douglas. Was in something called Angels with a Frowny Face. Was in a couple other TV movies, I think. Shell Seekers. The Love She Sought. Miss Eris Goes to Paris. There's a rhyme. And that was an adaptation of a novel. That was her highest profile. Her highest profile cinematic role was as Mrs. Potts in Beauty and the Beast, which she considered a gift to her 3 grandchildren. And the title song to the film won the Academy Award for Best Original Song, Golden Globe for Best Original Song, Grammy Award for Best Song Written for Motion Picture, Television, or Other Visual Media. And also made a surprise appearance in 2021, inspiring Walt Disney, the animation of French decorative arts at the Metropolitan Museums of Art's first ever exhibition about Walt Disney and Studios. Was also in films in Nancy McPhee in 2005. And that really was a positive experience for her. Then in Mr. Popper's Penguins with Jim Carrey. Was set to be in Grand Budapest Hotel. Holy mackerel. But had scheduling conflicts with the Australian production of Driving Miss Daisy, which she co-starred in with James Earl Jones. Then got an Honorary Academy Award, presented to her by Robert Osborne. Emma Thompson and Jeffrey Rush also were offered tributes. Then was in Miss Poppins Returns, the sequel. And what else we got? Was invited to the AFI. Spoke about some of her other experiences. Okay, now we get into theater, which is, so it's kept separate. So I guess we'll go theater, Broadway. But, yeah, so theater from Breakthrough was in Hotel Paradiso in 1957 on Broadway at the Henry Miller Theater. It only ran for 15 weeks, but she got good reviews. Then was in A Taste of Honey at the Lyceum Theater. And let's see what else we got. We got a great deal of satisfaction from that role. And developed a friendship with Laurence Olivier and Joan Plowright. Lived on East 97th Street. Was in The Summer of the 17th Doll. A Breath of a Scandal, Blue Hawaii, with Elvis Presley playing. That's a play? I don't know. It was in Anyone Can Whistle, which was short-lived, but it was written by, like, Stephen Sondheim was involved. She appeared in a second season episode of The Man from U.N.C.L.E., The Greatest Story Ever Told, which is a biop. Moll Flanders, Harlow, Mr. Budwig. These are films, though, so this is jumping around. This is like Wikipedia made for Sleep With Me. She was in musical cinema, including The Pirates of Penzance. I saw that movie a few times. I didn't get it, but like on repeat or something as a kid. She was in a gothic fantasy film, The Company of Wolves, in 1984. Little Gloria, Happy at Last. The Gift of Love, A Christmas Story. A Talent for Mystery, 1984, as a mystery writer, which she's considered a rush job, but Laurence Olivier was in it. She was in Lace in the First Olympics in 1984. And then she played Mame Dennis in Mame, which is Jerry Herman's musical adaptation of Auntie Mame, which my dad was in the community theater, which I think has come up in a couple of episodes, including a repeat not that long ago. She actively sought the role in hopes that it would mark a change in her career. Theater critics were surprised. They thought it would go to a better-known actress, and it was her first starring role. And I was trying to explain to my daughter, actually, the character of Mame. She's a glamorous character, 20 costume changes in the Broadway play, 10 songs, dance routines. First appeared in Philadelphia, then Boston, and then at the Winter Garden Theater in 1966 in Broadway. And really gained Angela Lansbury a big following, overwhelmingly positive, and made her a superstar, according to some of her biographers. Everyone loves you. Everyone loves the success, enjoys it as much as you do. And that led her to be on Perry Cuomo's Thanksgiving special in 1966. She also used it as a jumping off point to raise money for organizations. She was invited to star in the 1968 Academy Awards and in a musical performance, and co-host that year's Tony Awards. Harvard University's Hasty Pudding Club elected her Woman of the Year. When the film adaptation of Mame was put in production, she was offered the part, but it went to Lucille Ball. Oh, she hoped to be offered the part, but Lucille Ball was a more established box office. Landsbury considers this a big disappointment. She followed her success of Mame as in Dear World, a musical adaptation of something else, but did not enjoy the experience. The reviews were positive, and she secured her second Tony Award of her performances, but the reviews of the show were not great. Then she was in Pretty Belle. Then 1970, a lot of stuff going on. In 1972, returned to London's West End to perform in the Royal Shakespeare Company's performance of Albee's All Over. And then she had a reluctant involvement. This was following her reluctant involvement in a revival of Maine, touring the United States. Then played Rose in Gypsy on the West End. She initially turned down the role, didn't want to be in the shadow of Ethel Merman, who played the Broadway version, and got rave reviews, standing ovation in May 1973. And she was soon in demand among London society, having dinners held in her honor. And then Gypsy went on tour in the U.S. and Chicago. Oh, and in Chicago was awarded the Sarah Siddons Award for her performance. Eventually got back to Broadway, where it was a critical success, third Tony Award. And then toured the country again in 1975. Then she needed a break from musicals, and she was Gertrude in Hamlet. Let's see what else. Was in two one-act plays by Edward Albee, Counting the Ways and Listening. Then another revival tour of Gypsy. Then 24 performances of The King and I. Taking over somebody who's on break. Then on Sleeping on the Nile, which is an Agatha Christie adaptation. And Betty Davis, and I think Betty Davis was in that too. Then was in Sweeney Todd in 1979, which, let's see. She jumped on the role, being a Sondheim project, and loved the wit and intelligence of the lyrics. Remained in that role for 14 months, and got fourth Tony. Then kind of went on a little family business. What else here? Then she was inducted into the American Theater Hall of Fame. Then appeared in another Mame revival at the Gershwin, but the show it wasn't commercially successful. It's more of a period piece, not a show of today, Landsbury noted. 2001, returned after Mystery She Wrote. She returned to Broadway in the musical The Visit, and she thought she was going to take a break from a role. Had a bunch of family things going on. But returned in a play by Terrence McNally, The Deuce, not The Deuce, just Deuce, and received a Tony nomination for that one. She was in Blythe Spirit in 2009. Got a Tony Award for Best Featured Actress in a Play, her fifth Tony. Then was in something... Let's see. 2009. She was in something with Catherine Zeta-Jones, a revival of A Little Night Music. Seventh Tony nomination. And then she got a doctoral degree from the Manhattan School of Music. Then returned to the West End in Gore Vidal's The Best Man. Then that's when she did the Australian tour of Driving Miss Daisy in 2013 with James Earl Jones. Then she returned to 2014 to Blythe Spirit, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. It was even in the tour across North America got the Olivier Award in 2015 at 89. And in 2016 was announced it would return to Broadway in the Chalk Garden. But then Landsbury decided, I don't know, I'm going to keep taking a break, hang with my family. In 2019, Landsbury returned to Broadway portraying Lady Bracknell from The Importance of Being Earnest for Roundabout Theater. And then television. So this is totally So Sleep With Me. So in television, let's see, Lansbury was offered in 1983 a Norman Lear sitcom with Charles Durning, and then a detective series. And unable to do both, she decided to do the detective series, despite the fact her agents told her to do the sitcom. The series Mystery she wrote, she played Jessica Fletcher. We'll look that up. We'll learn more about that. Who was a mystery novelist, solving mysteries, she was writing mysteries and solving mysteries. An American Miss Marple. And the team that made it had made Columbo. First, the role was offered to Gene Stapleton, who declined the role, as did Doris Day. And his premiere, which had to do with Sherlock Holmes, came out in 1984. It was on Sundays from 8 to 9 p.m., and it was highly popular. Critical reviews were mixed. It got a Nielsen rating of 18.9, top rated in its time slot. Inoffensive family viewing. Despite the topic, the show was very mild and followed a whodunit format. And, nothing to keep you up at night, so kind of sleep with me. Landsbury was protective of Jessica Fletcher and had creative input over her costumes, makeup, hair, and would not, submit to pressure from network executives that wanted her to be in a relationship. She wanted to be a strong single female. And she believed that a scriptwriter had made things, if she would disagree, with the script and ask for it to be changed if it was not within the character. And she said it was a role model for older female viewers. And it was even called a television landmark, maybe even paved the way for the Golden Girls. And it gradually gained a younger audience. It says by 1991, 1/3 of the audience was under 50 years old. It outdid many things in the same time slot, even Steven Spielberg's Amazing Stories. There was even a spinoff in 1987. It looks like she was in Mame with B. Arthur. We'll find out. And then, as it continued, she took over in 1989, co-producing the show. But she did kind of, it was long hours, and thought by 1991 the show would be ending. But then she became an executive producer in 92, 93. And the show's setting moved to New York City in the 8th season, where Jessica had taken a job at Manhattan University teaching. And that was an attempt to get more younger viewers. It became, it was a Sunday night institution. And the show's ratings improved during the early 90s, but CBS executives moved it to Thursdays at 8 p.m. There's not a good move. Opposite Friends, Lansbury was not happy. And the show finally ended in 1996, Angela Lansbury voicing a goodbye from Jessica message at the end. And it was kind of like everybody was focused on youth and the youth demographic at the time. But the role was very prominent. Let's see. What else? There was Mrs. Santa Claus, in which Lansbury played Santa Claus's wife, which was a hit. Lansbury was in different TV commercials, and even spinoffs of things related to her success, was guests on other TV shows that like where Legal Order, those shows. BBC miniseries she produced. She played Aunt March on Little Women. And I think that's everything of her thing. So let's go to Mame next, because this is like a musical that I saw 3 or 4 times when my dad was in it, and I had no reference, but I was telling my daughter, it was kind of like a plot device back then. So it was originally titled My Best Girl. It's based on a 1955 novel. Written by Patrick Dennis in a 1956 play. It's set in New York City, spans the Great Depression, WW2. Eccentric bohemian Mame Dennis, whose motto is "Life is a banquet," and most people don't eat their fill. She lives a fabulous life with wealthy friends, which is interrupted when the young son of her brother comes to live with her, Patrick. And they cope with the depression in a series of adventures. It was also a film, but it opened on Broadway in 1966 with Angela Lansbury and B. Arthur. Oh, yeah, because she has a best friend, I think, that she plays off of. It was 58, it was a film, and 74. The Lucille Ball role was in 1974. Okay, the musical was inspired by the success of the play. And the Broadway was at the Winter Garden Theater. There was national tours. I don't know if this covers the plot. Adaptation. Here's the synopsis. So Dane, Madam Dane, Mame Dennis, I don't know where my brain is. She's in a clique. 10-year-old Patrick is entrusted to her care. And so when I saw it was a community theater at a retirement community where my dad lives. So my dad was playing a boy. He was playing the teen, so there was a little kid who played the little Patrick, like an actual 10-year-old. But for the rest of the play, it was played by my dad, who played like the high school, college, and adult Patrick. She introduces a boy to her freewheeling lifestyle. Agnes Gooch is, I don't know if that's her best friend. That says Mame's personal secretary and nanny-in-law. Vera Charles, that's her bosom buddy and a partier. And Dwight Babcock, who's the one who has control of her brother's estates. So, yeah, and it's like a kind of like a pretty basic advice, like a fish out of water for both of them. Patrick's just a kid, goes to live with Mame. Mame's is living a single party life, kind of like with plenty of money. Then they lose everything in 1929. And Mame tries to get jobs, but she always has good humor and irrepressible sense of style, according to Wikipedia. Mame gets married to a Southern aristocrat. For some reason, I thought Patrick gets married at some point, though, too, I think. Patrick goes to boarding school, St. Boniface in Massachusetts, an imaginary school. Mame and Beau travel the world on an endless honeymoon. Then Beau visits a big farm during the honeymoon, but Mame's a wealthy widow. But Patrick is engaged. He's become a snob, I guess. He's engaged to a debutante, Gloria Upson. Her family's not open-minded at all, pretty close-minded. And Mame kind of gets Patrick's mind open. Then he meets another woman who becomes his wife. And in the end, Mame is hanging out with Patrick's son, Peter, with her usual flair. Let's kind of go through the songs. Overture, then St. Bridget with Patrick and Agnes. Then It's Today, which is Mame, Vera, and Company. Then Open a New Window. This must be when Patrick comes. Mame, Young Patrick, and Company. Then the Moon Song, The Man in the Moon, Vera, Mame and Company. Then My Best Girl, Young Patrick and Mame. Then We Need a Little Christmas. I don't know if that's that song, We Need a Little Christmas right this very moment. Let's look that up next. That's Young Patrick, Agnes, Ito, and Beauregard and Mame. Fox Hunt, Uncle Jeff, Uncle Patrick, Cousin Fan, Mother Burnside. Then Mame, Beauregard and Company. That must be when he falls for Mame. Final Act 1, My Best Girl and Mame and Young Patrick and Company. Intra-act before Act 2, then opening Act 2, The Letter, Young Patrick and Older Patrick. Then a reprise of My Best Girl with Older Patrick, would have been my dad. Bosom Buddies with Mame and Vera. Gooch's Song with Agnes Gooch. That's How Young I Feel, Mame, Jr. and Company. If You Walked Into My Life, Mame. It's Today, reprise, Mame and Company. My Best Girl, reprise with Older Patrick. Final Act 2, Open a New Window, all. Then Curtain Calls, It's Today, We Need a Little Christmas, and Mame. Yeah, it's a popular Christmas tune, We Need a Little Christmas, which makes sense because it was written during, 1929. Now, Bedknobs and Broomsticks. I get this movie and Chitty Chitty Bang Bang mixed up along with one of those Christmas movies, Santa Claus Is Coming to Town. And I guess I saw this on repeat or something. It came out before my time, but I definitely saw this when I was a kid. It's a animation and, what do they call it? Well, they'll tell us. 1971, Walt Disney. It was loosely based on books Magic Bedknob or How to Become a Witch in 10 Easy Lessons and Bonfires and Broomsticks by Mary Norton. During the night, it was entered development, during the negotiations for Mary Poppins, when those were placed on hold. And then it was shelved because it was too similar to Mary Poppins. It was originally 139 minutes long. Then it was edited to under 2 hours before its premiere. The Sherman Brothers composed the songs. It was released in 1971 in mixed reviews. They liked the live-action animated sequence. 5 Academy Awards, Best Special Visual Effects. It won. It was the last film released prior to Roy O. Disney visiting his brother at the Big Farm. Let's see. It was restored. In 1996, it was restored with most of its deleted material put back in. There was a stage adaptation. So it takes place in 1940 with Charlie, Carrie, and Paul. They leave London. Oh, yeah, I remember starting this out because I just read a book about London in 1940 and watched a documentary. So the children, they want to go back to London, but they're supposed to be living out there. They see this lady flying on a broomstick. They change her mind. She reveals she's going to a correspondence school. Yes, there's a lot of funny stuff. And she wants to help the British defeat the people that are up to no good. She even has a transportation spell. She'll teach them to keep silence so that she figures out on the bed knob. Only Paul can work the spell. Then their school's closed. She does, so she can't learn the final spell. She turns the bed into something. They go to London to find the professor. And, I guess, I remember meeting the professor. And they go to a magical land. The bed goes underwater. And so, I don't know. Eventually they teach the kids a bunch of stuff. Let's just close out with Mystery She Wrote, a little bit about it. I wonder if it has, not the facts, though. Let's see the premise. So we talked about the ending. the cast, regular cast. I want to learn about Cabot Cove, though, is what my thing is. Is that really where it was set? I'm almost positive. If there's a Wikipedia article on Cabot Cove, I don't know if there is, so I'm searching for Cabot Cove. Let's see, it was mostly produced in the Universal Studios, Universal City, California. Exterior shots, some of them in Mendocino, which also stood in for the main town of Cabot Cove. So they did some exterior shots on location, but that's all about Cabot Cove. That's there. That's unfortunate. Tom Bosley was in it for the first 4 seasons. That's interesting. Tom Bosley from 1984 to 1988. So Tom Bosley was in Happy Days, which I was watching with my parents on, what is that thing called? It's like an app. You can watch free TV from, it's kind of like Nick at Night in the app version. Plasma or something? Pluto TV. And I said I had to leave the room because it was like bringing up too many, I couldn't remember. Whenever Happy Days was airing, I must have been a child, so. But Tom Bosley was on that show, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. Yeah, he was on Happy Days, the sitcom Happy Days, which was like a 1950 sitcom that was out in the 70s, maybe. Let's see. Happy Days is, American sitcom. Was on TV from 74 to 84, 255 half-hour episodes, 11 seasons, Gary Marshall. It was an idealized vision of life in the 50s and 60s in the Midwest U.S. Ron Howard, Henry Winkler, Tom Bosley, Marion Ross, Anson Williams. It was an unsold pilot originally. Howard, Ross, and Anson Williams loving the television set and then loving the Happy Days. And then George Lucas cast Howard in American Graffiti, which ABC took a second look at the pilot. And then they focused it on the dilemmas of innocent teenager Richie Cunningham. Who would have thought we got from Angela Lansbury to Happy Days? Oh, and that leads to Laverne and Shirley and Mork and Mindy, which were spinoffs from that. Laverne and Shirley, I highly recommend. I wonder if there's a Laverne and Shirley. That went from 1976 to 1983. It was so many great people in that. Penny Marshall, Cindy Williams, Michael McKean, David Lander, and a couple other people played other recurring roles. It was a physical comedy. In its 3rd season, it was the most watched American television program, 6 Golden Globes, 1 Emmy. It was a spinoff of Happy Days. Its 2 lead characters were introduced as acquaintances of Fonzie, Henry Winkler. Let's see, set in the roughly the same period, 1958 to 1967, made for Paramount by Gary Marshall, along with Lowell Gantz and Mark Rothman, and Michael Eisner. According to Michael Eisner, Cindy Williams had refused to do Laverne and Shirley spinoff, but her role was cast with Liberty Williams, no relation. They did a screen test where they said no way. And they eventually got her to be a co-star with Penny Marshall, co-star of the series. And the Shamil Shamakel Hoffenpuffer Incorporated, which is a Yiddish-American hopscotch chant, which leads the series theme song, Making Our Dreams Come True. Shamil Shamazel, Hoffenpuffer Incorporated. Probably saying it wrong. The hopscotch chant is from Penny Marshall's childhood. It was set in Milwaukee for the first 5 seasons. They worked as bottle cappers at the Schatz Brewery. And I think that's a nice place to close out. Angela Lansbury, all the way to Penny Marshall. Those are two amazing. So thanks, Angela Lansbury. We didn't get any fan fiction of yours, but we just got, I don't know, this was interesting to take a little journey through Angela Lansbury's career and led us to a couple other little meanders. So thanks and good night. All right, I want to thank everybody who became a patron recently, especially if it's done it recently. We've just been down, and so every little bit helps. I want to thank Ray, Emma, and Leslie. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Abna, Allie, and Abigail. Thanks, and good night. Ben, Deb, and Diana. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Peter, Sharon, and Elizabeth. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Ewan, Marissa, and Sharon. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Candy, Lauren, and Sasha. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Sarah, Anthony, and Jelly. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Hal, Chase, and Alan. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Fatima, Rob, and M. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Jamie, Jennifer, and Artie. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Pablo, P, and Peter. Thank you, thanks, and good night. And Marcia, Mel, and Miranda. Thank you, thanks, and good night. Thanks, everybody that supports the show on Patreon or supports our sponsors. That's really, I say it a lot, but it's like literally how the podcast is here for free for everybody else. And I could not do it without those people. So I really appreciate it. That's what the thank yous are all about. I really appreciate it. So thanks, everybody. And we've been able to also add we used to only, a year ago, we only had 200 free episodes. Now we've got over 450. Can't even remember. I thought it was in the higher it looks like it's slowly getting up to 500. And that's because people that support the sponsors, like these new Tuck You In sponsors too. Thanks.